Okay, my friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters. Zone 5/6/8/9/ whatever it is. It was 63 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday, guys. Here, I was outside in a tank top. It's ridiculous. And today is just as absurd, all right? So let us do the sound check real quick. Yes. Sunny skies here in Fort Wayne. Yes, what did I say? Generally, what did I say? Even if you only got a couple words, that's fine. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about today because it is approaching seed starting time. Now, I know a lot of people have already started, and that's fine. Okay, thank you, Mani Voller. Yes. Thank you, Corey Molesberger. Yo. Rachel says, successful garden design, sunny skies in Fort Wayne. That's right. All right. Thank you, guys. We got the sound check out of the way. So let us see what everybody is doing. Darren Dies, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. First tip of the day before we even started the broadcast. Appreciate you, my friend. Let's see okay, so what are you guys talking about? Let us know, what have you started? Okay, if you're watching this after the fact, put in the comments where you're at and what you have started and what's maybe if some goals for the season or some aspirations, some hopes that you might have, something you're trying new, because people like to read the comments, and it's the information you get from me, but also from the other people in the tribe that are doing it. So this is wonderful. This is a good source of information. So make sure you read through things like the comments. All right. And let's see here. Kermudge in Alaska says, we have not started much up here yet in Alaska. Okay, good. Right. Here in northern Indiana, I still haven't even started onions. So, and they're going to do just fine. I mean, you've seen my videos, get massive size onions, not a problem. So guys, don't feel like there's always such a frantic, oh, we got to start right now so early. But it's actually in places like Indiana, you don't really actually have to even start seeds. Onions you do because they're day length sensitive. But just a few weeks early. Don't think that you got to get out there the second that the soil is just warm enough so that they won't die. You don't really have to do that. And in fact, a lot of people that wait, have better results anyways, because it all has to do with soil temperature. The soil temperature is vitally important. That is why for a lot of us, when we do heavy mulch over the garden in the wintertime, if we don't remove that mulch in the spring, we actually are making the soil remain cooler for longer. Because midsummer, that's what we want. We want it to, insulate the soil midsummer and help keep it cool. But that's a double-edged sword, because in the early spring, that's going to help it stay colder longer. All right. And so we want to, Freebird, yes, I have CashApp. Thank you very much. Garden Like a Viking, money sign at Garden Like a Viking, or Garden Like a Viking. I have the links in the description, so it can tell you if you want to do it that way. And also, if you guys are old school, you want to send a raven, you can send it to the P.O. box, and the address is there. And yeah, so let's see here. Kip Tap, $10. Thank you, my friend. Second tip of the day. Nate, do you have a cheat sheet for seeds? Example, needs light to germinate, cold to germinate, compound seed, etc. At least put in the book. Also, how do I stop my garlic is taking off? Okay, so good questions right there. Let me take a sip of Joe. This is just straight up my morning cup of coffee still. I just poured a little more hot water into it. It is organic espresso roast, and I do it in the French press style. And then I will add about a quarter cup of raw cream, raw heavy cream, and then a tablespoon of molasses and a tablespoon of maple syrup. And mix that all together. It is super good. Yeah, very energizing, very nourishing. So, let's see here. Kip Tap. So, okay, I don't have that. I have not I have not gotten that organized yet, where I have a thing, like a spreadsheet. Some people are great with spreadsheets. I'm not a spreadsheet kind of guy. I could be, maybe, if I had to be, but I just go by feel. I always just go, so I don't even have to. In the beginning, 10, 15 years ago, I was like writing things down and stuff. But now I just know. I just go by feel and I just know. Things like generally the tiny little seeds, they need light. They need light. So really you just have to kind of think in nature what would happen. So like coxcomb or oregano or even basil, you can just sprinkle it all on the soil and just kind of just like that, just rough it up slightly. That's pretty much going to cover most seeds. It doesn't really, you just kind of have to think, what does nature do? Like a big seed, like a Tahitian squash seed or something like that, then the fruit is meant to sit there and rot. And it will be covered by the leaves and all kinds of stuff. So the squash seeds, the bigger the seed generally, the deeper it would typically be buried in one way or the other. And so you can plant the bigger seeds deeper. Yeah, that's what we do. The small seeds, they generally, because they don't have enough energy to push up through much. So they just need a little light dusting of stuff. But then you have to make sure it stays nice and moist. Yeah. And then cold to germinate, yeah, that's one that you want to look up as well. But if it's like most of those kind of things that need cold to germinate are wildflowers or native flowers of some kind. And so you have to just mimic, again, you just have to mimic what they find in nature. And so the best time to sow wildflowers is like right now. I mean, or in the fall time even, because they will just stay there, especially if they're even remotely native to your zone. Then they will just stay there, and using enzymes in the seed, they will resist rotting for months until the conditions are right. And then all of a sudden, boom, they will start to grow. So it's really magnificent, and you can sow a lot of stuff right now, wildflower stuff. So then it says, how do I stop? The garlic is taking off. Yeah, it's just one of those years. It's probably going to finish early, which is fine. You just want to make sure you keep it mulched. So it's still going to get cold. I mean, it's only February, so it's still going to get pretty cold. And so we need to make sure that it stays insulated. So a lot of you will find that the mulch layer that you put in the fall time on the garlic has compacted down till it's like 1 inch, So you want to make sure that there's a good 3-4 inches of mulch on the garlic, really. So, yes. Scott Miller says, does perlite make a good seedling mulch? It can. Yeah, it can. Sand would probably make a better one. If you're talking about like limiting fungus gnats and stuff like that, perlite is pretty good as well. Yes. It just is, you have to get the real fine stuff, definitely. But yeah, perlite will work. But perlite will still get the fungus on it, definitely. Richard Hoof says, sent a donation, but I don't see it on here yet. Ooh, me neither, but thank you. Garlic is about 2 inches tall outside, and onion seeds are about 3 inches tall inside. Good. Question, do beans readily cross-pollinate? I have not experienced beans ever cross-pollinating, and I plant beans all up in the mix. I mean, I plant beans literally right next to each other. And I have not experienced that in any way. So if you guys have, maybe, but I have not. So, and the onion seedlings, guys, remember, the onion seedlings we want to keep them till about 5 inches. So once they get to about 8 inches tall, then we're going to mow them. We're going to trim them until it is back to about 5 inches. This is important, okay? Don't just let them grow until they're a foot long and they start falling over and stuff. That's not what we want, okay? The more onions is one of the few things that you can trim indoors, and it's not going to affect its growth in a negative way. It's going to affect it in a positive way, because the onions will focus more energy on becoming stout and stocky. That's what you want. You want the stockier the onion slip that you plant, the better. Okay. So how we do that is we trim, and every time we trim, we will shower it with dilute fish fertilizer. That's what we do. They love that stuff, okay? Because at that time, don't worry about the other nutrients and stuff. Even though if you've made the fish fertilizer from this channel, then you have a well-balanced fertilizer, which is dominant in nitrogen, yes, meaning that it will produce leafy growth. It will encourage leafy growth. You can't actually force the plant to do anything unless you put it in a laboratory and genetically modify it. But all you really can do is make it so that the plant has everything that it needs when it needs it. And so the way we will do that with onions is we will, every time we trim them, which will be maybe once a week, once every other week, if you got a good growth setup and it's growing and all the conditions are right, then you can trim them probably once every 10 days, and then you will fertilize them with the dilute fish emulsion. Or yes, because, okay, Sandy says, I fertilized yesterday. It's funky. Now, if your fish fertilizer is not fully digested to the point where it just smells like tomato soup, it's kind of pleasant, then I wouldn't use it, actually. My fish fertilizer, I've got multiple buckets, from several years and stuff. And so I wouldn't use it indoors if it's not fully digested. So if your fish fertilizer is not fully digested, then use the compost extract, okay? Whoops. Something fell. The compost extract is, let's see here. Let's see. Oh, Richard Hoof says, see, that was a thing from Richard Hoof. $25. Thank you very much, Richard. I appreciate that. And this is really nice doing it this way because no percentage gets taken. But I don't mind giving YouTube a little bit, because this is a wonderful platform and I appreciate it. So thank you, Richard. Yes, I received that. And let us see here. I was just talking, if you've watched, so the ideal seedling fertilizer, guys, is to just make the compost extract. But that is if you have good quality finished compost, all right? If not, then you can use some worm castings, and that's second best, not nearly as good, but second best. Or you can mix the two together. And we're going to take a tour of the worm farm here next Friday, so the video will probably be sometime in the next couple weeks. Super cool. A local worm farm. And so the compost extract is going to give you everything that you need, but you want to strain it really thin. Make sure that you're using like a fine mesh 5-gallon bucket paint strainer made for those people that like pour paint, made to filter paint. That's what you want, a real fine mesh, because you don't want. The problem with using compost indoors, and why I don't recommend using it in the seed starting mixed. If you're starting indoors, if you're in a greenhouse, use it. But if you're indoors, I don't recommend using compost, homemade compost up in the mix, because there will be all kinds of insect seeds or eggs. And there will probably be weed seeds, of course, but that's not that big of a deal. But the insects and the molds and the fungi and the mildews and stuff, we don't want that indoors. So if you're using it in a greenhouse, then it's fine because you got the power of the elements. But based upon years of experience, I know this. And so the best way to utilize the nutrients from the compost is to make the compost extract from the video I made last year and filter it really fine, okay? Just me, who are you? $20. Thank you, my friend. Says, should I start onions? Yes, man, I need to get down there, okay? Why don't you text me some dates that, we'll have to figure it out. I need to get down there just for like 2 days to help you start all those seeds before, and then come back like 6 weeks later, 8 weeks, 7 weeks later. But remember, it's always best to wait a little too long than too early. But you can start onions. Look at the video I made. It's very simple. I'm going to show you guys some stuff today. So, yes. And also, so thank you for the contribution, my friend. Thank you always. And Wojtek, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, in Lake County, Illinois, Zone 5B, I've started onions and leeks, and my 2-year-old thyme seems to still be alive and kicking in the garden. Nice. Yeah, thyme should carry on. Thyme should carry on. It's a wonderful thing. So Yeah, thyme and oregano survives here, and rosemary looks like it's going to survive this year because I brought it inside once it got to 0 degrees. All right. Let's see. Dorothy Fu says, "Hi Nate, I would like to suggest you use a headset microphone so you can move about and talk at the same time. The reason I say this is because I would love to see what your garden looks like now." Ooh, yes, that is a good idea. But you know why I don't do that, guys? You know why? Is because when I just have a headset on, or the reason I always do voiceovers on the how-to videos is because you can just be so wordy, so lengthy. When I'm in the garden talking about stuff, it'll just be kind of like this, flow of consciousness more, which is great, but not for like tutorial videos. You know, if someone is like how to do something, they just want short and sweet, to the point. You know, they don't want a big long-winded, they don't want to know about all this other stuff, you know, so that's why I don't do that. But to you guys who appreciate this type of long form content, I should do that. Definitely. I could do that. Right now, my whole garden is covered in nothing but straw. That's it. It's just covered in straw, thick layer of straw, every bed covered in straw. That's it. So, VA Green, $20. Thank you, my friend, for the support. Thank you guys for being good today. It says, how do you feel about 25% peat, moss, 25% leaf mold, 15% rice hulls, and 10% biochar in 100-gallon pots? Okay, what are you growing? This is going to matter. What are you growing? Okay, so a quarter peat. A quarter peat. So there'd be like one part leaf mold. And how broken down is the leaf mold? All right, because I'm seeing in there not a lot of, well, there's no soil. So it would be a soilless growing medium, and you will need to fertilize heavily. I would add something more like a compost. Are you talking about outdoors or indoors? Well, obviously not indoors with 100-gallon pots. But let's see. So yeah, what are you growing, and how digested is that leaf mold? Because peat moss and leaf mold will have nutrients definitely, but one of the big benefits of the leaf mold is not just the nutrients, but when you have it in place, it will absolutely attract a horde of earthworms. Leaves are the favorite food of the earthworm in nature, in the natural system, for the most part. So they love to digest leaves. And so the earthworms and the different kind of microorganisms, the fungi and the arthropods, all that kind of stuff is going to love the leaves. And so that's really the shining beauty of using the leaves. So if you're in a pot, you're not going to have that same effect. So you need more nutrients in that mix. But again, okay, in the greenhouse, high value crops. Okay, got it. That's what I was wondering. You will want to have more substance in there. Okay, and what are you going to fertilize with? See, if you had that, you're going to need to put a ring around it, and you're going to need to drip irrigate that. And you're going to want it to make sure that that it's getting all the nutrients that it needs, because that would be an acceptable growing medium if you put in some dolomite, probably to buffer the acidity of that straight peat moss. But yeah, that it'll get tricky doing it like that, because there's not like a lot of, that's not really living soil. So I would suggest to add more actual compost or something that's going to be living and something that's going to break down over the season and provide nutrients to the plants. Now, if you wanted to do a one-on-one consultation, you can hit me up and I could tell you like a mixture, for like but it involves getting things like bat guano, seabird guano, and kelp meal, these kind of things, then you cook it for several weeks and then you put that into the pots and then they will thrive. So, Justin Milward says, nah, Nate, you're good. Don't change for nobody. Thank you, Justin. Thank you. Yeah, I always just do exactly what feels right in my heart because I've practiced that for so many years that now I can just 100% trust my gut instinct in every situation without fail. And that's always what I do. So, but I like to take into consideration all kinds of, especially valued opinions from you guys. You know, because there's a lot of opinions. When you start putting yourself out there on social media, you get a lot of opinions from people. And the vast majority of them are absolutely meaningless. Well, no, I'm not going to say the majority. I meant the other way around. There's a minority of them that are totally meaningless. But there are some that are like more, they mean more than others, you know, because they're like involved in the channel and they give competent feedback and stuff, and they give examples. And if they have some kind of qualm with a method or something, then they'll explain it in an educated, you know, sort of way. And so that you can value that kind of stuff. But people that just lash out and, oh, this is stupid, and all kinds of, man, I get tons of those. It's crazy. So yeah. That is, Freebird says, Nate, sent a CashApp for onions and some for you. I'll give you my address soon. Thank you very much. Okay, yes, I see this. Okay, thank you very much, my friend. Thank you for the tip as well. I appreciate that. So send the, okay, so I got to put you on the list. I was going to read that. So well, I know Freebird's on the list, so just make sure you get me that address. We got Gina Grubb on the list. So here, guys, this is for the Egyptian walking onions. Remember, this is what we're doing. We, out at one of the Viking homestead gardens, we are growing Egyptian walking onions. This will be the third year with this batch there. We really planted quite a bit there, and they've really taken hold, and they're thriving. And so so long as there's no unforeseen like tornado or something like that, then we're gonna have a great harvest in the late summertime. And when that happens, we're going to take pre-orders from now until then, and well, we'll have to cap it at some point depending on how many we get. But then once they are ready for shipping, which is going to be like September time, then we're going to ship them all at once, give to everybody. And that's when you plant them. As soon as you receive them, you plant these Egyptian, we have to come up with a new name. I think Viking sailing onions. It sounds something better. Viking pillaging onions. How about that? So then we will ship them out and you guys will plant them then. Okay? John Saldana, what's up, my friend? Says, Nate, nice to see you. Greetings from your Colombian students. Yes, hope you got that stuff happening from our consultation the other day. Okay, so we got Gina Grubb is down. We got David Gillis is down. Maybe I shouldn't say the last name. I don't know. Sorry. And then we got the dad Dan down. Okay, so and then we got Freebird down so far. So I will just read those every now and then. Viking Valhalla onions. Valhalla onions. There we go. Valhalla onions. Okay, I think it's got a. I think we got a. Definitely sounds good. Valhalla onions. Okay, so when we will mail out the Valhalla onions, then you guys can be a part of that, and we'll probably put in some of the Tahitian melon squash seeds as well, because we got such a huge harvest last year, guys. We had, I think, 2 plants. That's it, and we had just probably 200 pounds or more, even I don't know, of Tahitian squash. It was crazy. So we will send some of those seeds with you guys. Okay. So let us see. I missed a bunch of. VA Green says, I was thinking of adding manure and micronutrients and letting it cook until time to plant. Definitely. Try to get some horse manure. And if you can, hot compost it and then add azomite. That will be, and then JMS, well, actually the aerated compost tea for that several times, full strength before planting. And let it cook for a couple of months or for a couple of weeks. About a month, give or take, depending on the heat. Okay, so there's a lot that goes into that kind of thing, doing those kind of plants, okay? Val, they are $40. So if you want to get in on the Egyptian walking onions, and guys, this isn't like a business I'm doing. I mean, it's part of it, but it's, this is me and my uncle growing these onions, and we're going to literally package them up by hand when it comes time. And maybe my grandma will help. Shout out to Grandma Sally Battleaxe. She is just celebrated her birthday. She's 140 now. And no, I'm just kidding. She listens to these sometimes, so she's probably laughing. But she is like 85, so so she'll probably help us with packaging the onions. Okay. Just me. Who are you? Definitely. That goes without saying. You are on the list. Thank you for the $10, my friend. And yes, you're on the list. I will probably be able to bring some of those when I come. So that's wonderful. Clem Fandango, good to see you, my friend. He says, hey, Nate, hope all is well. Much love, my brother. Yes, likewise. All is very well. I hope that it's well for you as well. But see, when people change their little thumbnail picture, it's hard for me to, because I'm like a visual, kind of thing. So you changed that picture, didn't you? So, let's see. Andre Puskas says, hi, Nate. I have a lot of soil in pots from growing peppers last season. Can I somehow reuse that soil this season? Should I mix it with compost or something else? Okay, the best way to do that is, ideally the best way to do that is in the fall, to take all the pots and put it into a pile and then add the stuff in there with it. Add some compost, add some composted manure if you have it. Add some, you can add, if you do granular dry nutrients, you can add them at that time. Let that cook for a little bit and give it a few doses of the JMS, in the pile. And then once it's and keep it covered, of course, always keep it covered. And with like a plastic tarp or something, or even cardboard can work. And then after in the springtime, if you did it in the fall, but if not, then you can do it now. And leave it go until it is time, May or whatever. And then scoop it out and put it back into the pots. So when we do pots, unless they're massive fabric grow pots, which is different, we don't want to amend in place. We don't amend it in the pot because it just doesn't work as well. It just doesn't work that well. Okay. Sally Battleaxe says, hey, I knew she was watching. That's my nickname for Grandma. But, you get to a point in life, guys, when you realize, wait a second, I don't really have many grandparents left. There's just, two now. So, you have to revisit the relationship with them when you're an adult. You have your child relationship with your grandparents, and then you become an adult, and it's different, So, it's valuable. So, let's see. Matt 808 says, don't mean to change the subject, but I was wondering if I should soak cannabis seeds with labs. You can. Yeah, you can. Although it would be more advantageous to soak them with the seedling fertilizer, which is basically compost extract with some leaf mold. That's one of the twists. So that would be better because that will give the seeds if you soak your seeds in the compost extract from stuff you made, that will give them good information. The seed is just unbelievable. When you study it, it's unbelievable what it does. How it is basically information. The seed is a set of blueprints, essentially, that tells the organism how to combine all of the elements to build the factory that will then produce more of itself. It's a type of technology we could never even, we just can't even fathom, okay? Not even our greatest technology can come anywhere close to that. The natural technology that already has been perfected. And so we look at these seeds and we see that from the moment that they get the right conditions, they are reading the environment. The seeds are reading the environment. They're saying, okay, how nutrient rich is this place? How many microorganisms are there? What is the temperature like? They're reading all that stuff. And for many seeds, that initial read of the environment, that initial scan of the environment after the first couple of weeks, from sprouting up to the first couple of weeks of their life, that tells them that imprints on the blueprint, on the set of instructions, how big the plant can get, because it tells it, okay, this is a great nutrient-rich environment. We can grow to the fullest of our genetic potential. And boom, so it puts down big roots and it develops those good microorganism relationships. And that's how you have super healthy, thriving plants, is when they have those relationships right off the bat. So that's the way to do it. Better than labs, because labs is lactobacilli, which is really good, no doubt, but it doesn't have that full set of instruction. It doesn't have all that different microorganisms, so it doesn't have the information, okay, in the same way. And speaking of labs, guys, because I get raw milk, all right? So I drink raw milk all the time. I drink raw cream. I do a lot of other raw things like beef liver and stuff, raw eggs, but I left one. I accidentally missed one. And look, after about 2 weeks, I found it again. And look at all that labs, because it's raw. So it is, and it's a little bit full. It's starting to kind of leak a little bit. So that's not, it's going to have to get used. But guys, raw milk separates itself into the really high quality labs. This is the highest quality labs you can get, much higher than the pasteurized milk. All right, but the pasteurized milk still works really well, of course. But this is just because it's got different bacteria. It's not been homogenized. The whole thing is just different. And it's more how nature intended it, okay? Remember, we always want to mimic nature in as close a way as possible, because nature is the OG sustainer of everything, has already perfected it all. So you can't improve on what's already perfect. And so we will utilize this separated stuff here. We're not going to eat the cheese because we don't know like how long this was like sitting outside. But we are going to use that labs, and that is going to really help. So guys, if you're starting seeds and you've got issues, you got molds and stuff like that, give them a strong dose of labs, because the strong dose of labs can eat away the fungus and the molds. But if you've got the fungus and the mold, you have to look at your system and understand, why do I have the fungus and the mold in the first place? So this is just going to treat the symptoms, not the cause. And we have to treat the cause, which is inadequate environment. So right, Scott Miller says, all my grandparents are composting. Right, to become life once again. Yes. And so, can your Creative Soil says, can your saliva program the seed to give your body its optimal nutrition? Now, I have heard this, so yes, I have heard this, to put the saliva on the seed and it imprints the DNA and stuff, or it imprints onto the set of blueprints, essentially. Now, I can't say that I have any direct knowledge of this, because I can't observe that, and I don't have any. I know how it would feel like. Yeah, it would probably work. It would make sense, because it does imprint many different things, and I know this over years of observation and experimentation, and also the scientific literature that I've read regarding this. So it doesn't seem that far out of the realm of possibilities that could work, but I cannot say for sure. Yes, Scott Miller. Yes, there is a thing where that is what people are. That is a philosophy that you put the seed into the mouth and it will imprint into the seed the exact nutrients that the body is deficient in a way. So, but like I said, all of that I don't have observational or any kind of concrete proof. Ming Music says, Nate, can you do a video on your houseplant care? Inquiring minds want to know. Yes, I did do a video called Turn Your House into a Rainforest. But it's kind of more of a tour, but I also describe my fertilizer program. And on the houseplants, guys, It's not like the rest of the plants, okay? This is why, gardening is not it's not religious in the sense that there's commandments which you cannot ever go outside of. So, for example, on the house plants, I utilize the chemical fertilizers. I utilize Grow More 20-20-20. That is because over the years, I have experienced that trying to use the compost teas and any of the JDOM stuff, and it just turns your soil rancid. It just turns it rancid, and it will kill the plant, and you'll have fungus gnats, and it will smell like mildew because indoor growing environment is not natural for the plants. This is very unnatural for these plants. And so every time that I did over the years trying to utilize the natural stuff on the indoor house plants, it goes rancid, and it's not what you want. So for that reason, we use small amounts. I only fertilize them like twice a year with just 10 mils a gallon of Grow More 20-20-20. That's 10 mils a gallon. That's 2 teaspoons per gallon of water. And that's all it takes twice a year. And these things are like 35 feet long. So, I mean, this whole place is just swimming in plants. I mean, they're just all over the place. So, Lisa T says, the houseplant video is really helpful and comprehensive. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Brian's Garden says, any idea of conditioning straw in a 25-gallon grow bag to grow sweet potatoes? Conditioning straw in a 25-gallon grow bag to grow sweet potatoes. You will need something much more than straw to grow that. You can condition straw bales if you need to, but I am not of the school of that. I've done that several times with both straw and hay, and it works. But you don't get plants that are like thriving growing in conditioned straw. I've not seen, unless they're fertilizing with chemical fertilizers, which is not what we do. We never do that outside, ever. It's only on our indoor house plants. So I will have to be very clear about that. But no, if they're using Miracle Grow and stuff like that, then the straw bale is just basically a soilless growing medium designed to hold the roots. It's like a rock wool cube. Yeah. So Rachel says, Successful Garden Design says, and guys, she just made a video on her channel where she talks about her experience with the carnivore diet. Even though she's a gardener, she went full carnivore for several months so that she could find the experience and see how that feels. And now she knows for sure. So you can check out that video on her channel. And also she's going to do the JDOM properly this year, right? 5 times before planting. But what is conditioned straw? She says, I've not heard that term before. There's a whole school of gardening that likes to garden in straw bales, and so in order to garden in bales of straw, you need to condition it first. You don't just put the seed in there. You have to condition it. So straw is essentially carbon. It's vastly carbon dominant, okay? Almost pure carbon in a way. That's why it can sit there for so long. Now, remember, if you watch this channel, you know that the engine of decomposition is bacteria. And the food, the gasoline for the bacteria, is nitrogen. And so in a source that is almost pure carbon, the bacteria are not going to have anything to eat to break down that material to make it plant available. The fungi will, but that's a slow process. Okay? So you have to add nitrogen-rich things in the beginning. So to condition it, you will tilt it on its side. And then you will take some of it out, and you can begin by putting fresh manures in the center of it. And then you can soak it with other high nitrogen rich things, and it will take time. It's a process, but it will break down to a point where it can sustain life. It can sustain the seeds. But typically what happens is that, okay, you'll plant into it, but then it just acts like a raised bed in a way, and the real roots go into the earth. Or there's one guy that does it, Millennial Gardener. I know a lot of you guys probably watch his stuff because my analytics say that he's the number one that other people watch. And And I haven't watched a lot of his videos, but I've seen them, so he's a very different type of gardening from us. And so he grows in straw bales. Yeah, and his is like very orthogonal, and very laid out and everything like that. And so he has a different style of growing because he's different goals and things. But I wanted to say that, yes, he grows in straw bales. Yeah. So, but guys, there's no advantage in my opinion and experience. That's why you'll never see me, probably never, give a how to grow in straw bale tutorial, because I just don't see the advantage. Period. And the people that grow in straw bales, you look at their plants and yeah, okay, they're good. There's some tomatoes on there and stuff, and they're surviving, but they're not like Jurassic and thriving, and they're not just bursting with life and produce and all that stuff. Right? It's not worth. To me, it's not worth the effort at all. Not if you have the soil. So, Brett Graham says, I think I got him to check your channel out. He started talking about microbes lately. Nice. Yeah. Put the bug in his ear. Let's do a collaboration. I'm all about it, man. It's what I'm about. So I would even, I would even go to his place and check it out. That'd be cool, and do a collaboration video, especially because we could do it after we go to Tennessee. So yeah, or whatever. I'm all about collaborations, but nobody wants to collaborate for some reason. Except Pinball did, which that was fun. So, guys, potatoes. Look, my potatoes are just now starting to sprout a bit. All right. So they're still nice and hard. I'm probably just going to rub these off from there and just keep them, and that'll give them, another month maybe in storage. But I mean, it's the first week of February, guys, and these potatoes are still rock solid. I've been eating them all winter long, and everybody always asks, oh, what do you do that's so special? What's the storage method? And it's just really, you just got to keep it cool and humid and totally free of light. That's the most important thing. Totally free of light. All right. So that is what we want to do, is keep them free of light in a somewhat humid area and with cool environment. Now, it doesn't have to be, but think root cellar, think underground environment, because that's what the potato does. That's what it's here for, is that it is all, it is a storehouse of solar energy. It captures the sunlight and then it stores it in this battery, essentially, so that next year it can utilize the stored solar energy to regrow shoots and then grow more of itself. It's a tuber. It's not a root or a shoot. It is a tuber. It's different than all of that because it puts down roots, but then it also puts up shoots. And so you have to think, okay, in nature, it is designed to overwinter in the soil by itself. So how do we keep it from breaking its dormancy? We mimic those conditions. So that is why that's how you do it. It's pretty simple. And you want to make sure you don't wash them. That's a big thing that a lot of people still don't get. You need to leave, these things are marvels of creation, guys. When I'm always talking about, this is a seed. We could say that this is like a seed. It's a set of blueprints. And so it uses so many factors to determine when is the right time, because its survival depends on it, and it has for millions of years. And so, or at least its cousins, the wild ones. And so it uses many different kinds of factors in order to tell when to break dormancy. And that has to do with the temperature, the access to light, the humidity levels, the moisture levels, but also more subtle things like the microorganism relationship that it has. And so if you're washing them off and stuff, it washes off all those microbes and it thinks it's not underground anymore or something like that. And so it breaks dormancy much faster. So we don't wash the potatoes until right before we use them. It's incredible how the level of intelligence, guys. When you start diving deeply and looking at it deeply, it just leaves you awestruck. So Wojtek, another $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says it seems Fort Wayne is going to be right on the verge of the full eclipse path on April 8th. Is that right? I didn't even know anything about it. Is that a solar or lunar? That would be very cool. Thank you for telling me. So, let's see. Jeremy Ransom says, dig a hole and grow that chit. Yeah, we're still much too early around here for potatoes. Much too early. So we will not be doing that. But we will, yeah, to answer some of your questions, we will be planting out potatoes from our own stock of potatoes, definitely. But remember, if they've got them big, long things, you want to break those off. You don't want, those aren't roots. Those are like, they're seeking for light is what they're seeking for. They only want to grow a few inches before they hit the light and turn into a plant. So if you've got them big, long things, don't just throw those out. I used to do it that way. I used to do it because it works, and stuff, but for best results, you don't want to do it that way. You really don't. And so you want to, you only want them once they start like this. For the potatoes that you're going to actually chit, that you want to plant out, you can let them sit into a warm, sunny place. Not direct sunlight, but warm and bright light. And they will grow, they will start to grow chits like that. But you don't want them to be long and leggy and all white, ghostly white in the basement, because those are like if you've ever grown tomatoes with insufficient light and they get really long stems with the little leaves up top, they're seeking out the light. And so that's not what you want. So yeah, guys, if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up button. Yes. Share these videos with whoever needs to see them. And when you guys watch videos on the channel, please leave a comment. Just share your thoughts, whatever it is. And also, if you watch the Travel Like a Viking channel, leave a comment on every video there because we're trying to grow that channel. Also, the Thrive Like a Viking channel, which is every Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be doing part 2 of How to Escape the Matrix Monday because there was a great response. And so there's so much more to be said on that. So part 2 is coming Monday. How to escape the matrix. Just me bought 50-pound bag of Yukon Gold yesterday. Good. So keep them. You're still a ways away from planting, but just keep them cool. Yeah. Nancy, hello, my friend, says I started a bucket of fish amino acids February last month, from a Chris Trump recipe. I have no idea how to use it. Can't wait to see Nate's video on it. Yeah, good. That's really good that you made one because FAA can take a long time, depending on several factors. So very soon, I'm going to make a video on how to make the FAA, the fish amino acids. This is in the Korean natural farming, the KNF tradition. And in my opinion, who said, I think it was Big West that said the FAA is like the Cadillac of the fish fertilizers. And that's so true. It really is. It's really good quality in the sense that it's the most concentrated. It's really concentrated. And so when I spray things, when I spray it foliarly on the plants, I like to use the FAA. But with a big difference, we're not using IMO 4 and 5 and all that liquid IMO. It's just a huge, long, drawn-out, labor-intensive process, in my opinion. And all you get is essentially a huge, labor-intensive, drawn-out process to produce what is the equivalent of leaf mold, and probably inferior, in my opinion, to good quality leaf mold. So we just use a bit of leaf mold instead. And so, yes, but you will see the process, guys, because you want to make sure that you do it. You want to make sure you do it right. VA Green says, all 3 channels are very entertaining and greatly informative. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you're here. Okay, Grandma Zoo, yes. So she says, I have potatoes planted in pots outside here in eastern South Carolina. So South Carolina, yes. Okay, different. But when you guys are in different growing zones, remember, the only thing that's really different is the timing, and some of the techniques, but the fundamentals are all the same. So even if you're in the tropics, which a lot of you are, the fundamentals are going to be the same. The way that the soil cycles nutrients, the fact that the plant is an expression of what is happening at the soil. So to read the health of the soil, you read the plant. The plant will always tell you what it needs. All of these things. Organic matter is king in home gardening type thing. So all of this is all going to remain the same. Just timing and some of the techniques will be different. Sauce says, what is a replacement for leaf mold when living in the desert? Right. So if you watch my video on, I think it was the All About Leaf Mold one, or one of them, I show you the best way to do that. So but you have to have access to organic matter of some kind. So if you're in the desert, the way to get the indigenous microorganisms so that you can use them is to take as many wild grasses as you can, but you have to have access to grasses. You take as many wild grasses as you can and place them all directly on the ground in an area where there's some soil. Place it directly on the ground and cover it with a tarp, something that is not breathable. All right, and then you just let it sit for like 3 to 4 weeks. And then you will come back. I show this in one of the videos. Then you come back and you can peel. It'll have all sort of smothered down. And you can come back and peel that layer. And right where the green grasses, plant matter, meets the soil, that is going to be rich with the microorganisms. You'll see fungal hyphae and all kinds of stuff. The white fuzzy stuff, you'll see all of that. That you can harvest and cultivate. Use that in your JMS, in your liquid fertilizers, or in your microbial solution. Okay? So I show how to do that. Let's see. Queen RB says, some of my potatoes I missed harvesting sprouted in my grow bags. Warm spell. Will they freeze as it's way too early? Yes, they will freeze. The foliage will freeze and die off. But the tuber, so long as the tuber doesn't freeze solid, it will probably grow back, but it can't do that too many times before it's exhausted its store of solar energy. Okay, so. VA Green says, check on the Discord. I posted a 100-gallon pot full of leaf mold. Okay, good. Yes, if you guys don't know the Discord chat, you need to get on that, okay? It's like a chat room for the Viking tribe. It's very useful, all right? And you can share pictures, which is really great. So, a Big Will Dog says, Nate, I have filled 4 5-gallon buckets with sifted leaf mold a year ago. When I opened 2 of my last buckets, tons of worms were living in it. Should be awesome fertility. Absolutely, because the eggs were already there, and the tiny little worms were already there. So absolutely, it'll be great fertility. Somebody was commenting. I saw it briefly, but then I missed it and didn't get a chance to comment on it. Somebody was the Sultan of Soil, I think is what they were. This guy comes up with some clever nicknames. Yeah. So it's John Saldana says, Nate, about potatoes. Is there a video you have been that made that shows how to do the chit on it? Yes, there is. So check out the videos I made. It's like how to chit potatoes, I think literally is the title of it. But it's very simple. It's very, very simple. You will just place it in a warm, sunny place. And they will know exactly what to do with some high humidity. And you'll start to see them. Chitting is just basically letting them sprout in a high light environment. It's not, when you guys pull them out of storage and they got them long spider legs on them, that's not chitted, contrary to popular hope. Jackie says, hi Viking, I see your video of tea of grass and veggies with rainwater, but smell bad. It's normal? Thanks for all your help. Yes. Oh, it's going to smell real bad. Real bad. For the time of decomposition, it will smell very bad. But if you do it, the way that I've come to like to do the anaerobic ferments is to fix it all up and then let it completely digest until that smell pretty much goes away. So years ago, I was doing it the continual adding, add and then take some out, add and take some out, but the smell never goes away of the putrid stench of death, of ammonia and all that kind of stuff. So the best way to do it, and I'm not fully convinced, I'm not 100% convinced that there might not be less than desirable balances of pathogenic microorganisms in the fully unfermented, liquid fertilizers. But that's just a thought that I've been playing with. But anyways, the ones that are for sure safe and wonderful for the plants are the ones that are fully digested. And so build the liquid fertilizer and let it digest until that smell goes away and almost everything is liquefied. They will liquefy almost everything if you have the right ratio and stuff. And so you'll open it up and it will just be a deep, rich source of nutrients. But most of the microorganisms will be dead because the food source is gone. But their bodies and their interactions, all of that stuff is going to remain, and it's going to be a very plant available source of nutrients. So, yes. Sam Potzik says, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. That's right, Sam Wise. So guys, here is something that I got recently that I absolutely love. So, I'm into, we're all into seed starting, of course. And these I've already had. These are the Bootstrap Farmer trays. Now, I'm not sponsored by this company. Maybe I should hit them up because I love their product and I promote them all the time. But I just put links to this stuff in my Amazon. So if you guys are looking for stuff, go to the Amazon storefront. And it's not very user-friendly, the Amazon storefront, but just browse around. There's like titles. I have a few different sections. Indoor growing equipment, outdoor growing equipment, stuff like that. And you will see these. So you want to get some with no holes in it. All right, because each tray will need a tray without holes in it. So you'll get the tray without holes, and then you'll get some with holes. And this is what we'll start the onions in right here. And we're just going to put the soil in here and start the onion seeds. Okay. Now, and they make smaller ones as well, half size if you have smaller amounts of things. But the reason that we do the 2 tray is so that to water, all we do is just pour like a liter of water at a time in there and set it back down. And it will all wick up into the plants. And that keeps the surface of it more dry. And that's going to help eliminate many problems right off the bat. Because every time that we're watering overhead, the soil surface stays wet. And that's where the problems begin. All right? But that's not what I wanted to show you. What I wanted to show you is this. And that I just got for the first time. So they make these pots here, guys. They make these. Bootstrap Farmer makes these pots. And I put a link. The link is in the Amazon storefront to these exact ones. Because there's many different kinds. But these are the best, guys. These things are very heavy duty. And they're clearly going to last many seasons. And here's the thing. I got the 5-pack. So I got 5 of these, all right? And enough of these to fit 5. So, and they go in here so well, guys. They fit into these trays really well. Everything is well thought out here. And so I can just tell by looking at it, this is going to be the answer, guys. And then this tray goes into the one that has no holes. So here is a completed tray. You see? Now we are going to fill each one of these with soil, all right? And then they're removable, but here's the key, is that because of the holder, we're gonna still bottom water. So we're gonna put 1 or 1 liter at a time of water in the bottom tray, set that back down, and it's gonna slowly wick up. Now, even though this is my first time using them, I just got them like 2 days ago, I can already tell these are gonna be amazing because of experience. And they fit so well in there. Because up until now, I've been using, here's the thing. Like when I was first came back from the mountain, I didn't have any excess money. And so I didn't have $90 to spend on these high quality trays and all this stuff. But I did have like $7 to spend on a bunch of solo cups. So I got solo cups instead. And they work, they work perfectly fine. They're good. But they just look like trash all over the place, because they blow around in the wind, they fall over and stuff, and you can't put them real nice in a tray. So, there's pros and cons, but they're super cheap. That's the pro. That's the number one guiding light. But these, you can tell, they answer all the problems that I always wish was answered. Is that these are not going to go anywhere. You can just tell. You can put these in and out, inside and outside to harden them off. You can just tell. These are not going to fall. It doesn't matter how much wind comes. These are not going to fall. They fit in there. Yeah. I love a company that has thought about their product, that has really thought. And obviously, this is from users. This is from farmers, people growing, because they've said, hey, we need this little tab right here so that we can get our finger under the stacks of trays. Every little thing is thought about. And that's important, guys. So can't recommend it highly enough. Even though I haven't used it yet, I already know that it's going to work phenomenal. So I'm going to answer some questions here, but then I want to show you the soil that I'm using, okay? So Jason Hetty says, so no soil blocks anymore? I'll probably still use soil blocks. Yeah. I mean, it's, I'm at a point now where I know what works and what doesn't and stuff. And so I have many options. I could easily use soil blocks, but this year I really want to try these. I really want to investigate deep and use these and see the pros and the cons and all that kind of stuff. So I'm probably just going to use these this year for most things. I will probably up pot some of the tomatoes because I like to have tomatoes is one of the few things, actually the only thing, that I like to have some of them that are grown up to an absurd degree so that I can plant them out and they'll start producing really fast. So yeah, some tomatoes I will still up pot to probably a 4-inch pot. But other than that, this is going to be enough for everything. So, but man, I did soil blocks for years. Highly recommend soil blocks. If you guys are doing it, watch my videos on the soil blocks. Very healthy transplants. Not a problem. But I am in a never-ending pursuit of knowledge, especially now that this is like my profession and stuff for you guys and stuff. So I'm going to give these a full go. So yeah, we're probably not going to do soil blocks this year. Maybe some flowers, actually. Some different kinds of flowers, yeah. Yes, Teresa says, wow, thank you. I did so many different things, including solo cups until I could financially get 4x4s. Right, yes, definitely. Solo cups, they work great, even better than solo. Well, it's still a $70 investment in the device, but the soil blocks are really nice. And they're really nice because there's no plastic. So if you're feeling, if that moves you, that you don't like the plastic aspect, soil blocks are really good. Nothing wrong with them. I just feel compelled to try these because it just looks like the way. That's a good shape as well. See, they've thought about all this. The depth is more important than the width when you're talking about seedlings. And so this is all just gonna, be good. So if you want to get those, please use the links in the description. I get a small kickback from everything in the Amazon storefront, but they're not sponsored me in any way whatsoever. They don't even know I'm saying any of this. IF, $5. Thank you, my friend. Says, I want to have a water system like your mom's. It will be city water. Should I be concerned about the city water in the sprinkler system? No, hers is city water as well. So, right. Guys, that is a good setup. Watch the video I made, Grass to Garden in 1 day. And that will show you the basic thing. It won't show you the water system. I'll do a video on that watering system, actually, because a lot of people would benefit from that. But I just have everything hooked up to timers. And so it's on a sprinkler, and it's an adjustable sprinkler so that you can adjust it to just to the size of the garden. And so I have it so that it comes on for about, I think, 40 minutes from 11 o'clock to 11:40 at night. And that will give the bags the full amount of time to be saturated, because grow bags dry out daily. If you don't water them and we go like 2 weeks without, or 2 months without rain, I mean, everything would be totally dead in the grow bags. Whereas in the ground, it will survive. It can survive if you do it right, if you've got mulch and everything. But there's not that store of moisture, and the roots can't go so deep. So yeah, every day we were watering those, and guys, her stuff did better. I mean, those tomato plants did as good as I've ever seen any tomato plants anywhere. I mean, they couldn't get better than that. So yeah, it was the watering consistency, but also it was obviously the Viking nutrients. So Raymond Alvarado says, wow, my first time to be live on your channel. Yes, welcome, my friend. Let us know if you got a question. Tammy Harder says, those trays are a great investment, but solo cups work. Raise one for Toby Keith. Yeah, may he rest in peace. Oh, he passed away. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, it's for the better. I mean, a struggle. Man, he was in his 50s, wasn't he? Wow. Yeah. All right, Toby. Rios Family Garden says, so happy I finally caught your live. Yes, we're happy you are here. Tammy Harder, 62. He was 62 years old, guys. Imagine that, a living legend. At 62 years old, you still had got another 30 years to enjoy life. Or longer, if you do it right. But such is the way of the world, isn't it? The 3 things that we cannot escape no matter what: old age, sickness, and death. The only things guaranteed. So Scorpio 1969, $20. Thank you, my friend. You are a consistent contributor, and I appreciate that. Just got my 60-gallon black barrels from GH Barrels. Nice. It says, thank you for the info. Okay. Getting excited for spring, but waiting, as I also used to start things too early. Yes, guys, make it easy on yourself and start at the right time, okay? A little bit too late is not a problem. Too early is a problem, okay? We don't want to be nursing along sick little transplants and stuff like that, okay? Money Voler says, first time here as well. Love the wisdom shared here. Yes, we're glad you're here. Freebird says, I love gardening season so much, and with Nate and the tribe, it's even more fun. Definitely. And we get to learn from each other. Ms. P, $5. Thank you, my friend. Says, just received a catalog from Annie's Heirloom Seeds. Shout out to a small family business. Well, there you go. Shout out to Annie's Heirloom Seeds. I'm sure they will appreciate that, Ms. P. Jennifer's Dramatic Pause says, when using horse manure, is there much concern about the feed the horse may be eating? There's mega concern about the feed that the horse is eating, because equestrian hay is the most heavily sprayed of all of the type of hay for the graze on, because horses are more finicky. If you've been around horses at all, you know this. Horses are real finicky about the type of hay that they like to eat, as opposed to like cows, which will eat kind of whatever, But the horses, they, oh no, we don't like broadleafs in our food. No, I'm sorry, no, we don't like broadleaf. So can you go ahead and spray that with Grazon? Grazon is a chemical that is that farmers spray on fields to make it so that only the hay, the soft hay, will grow. And it's called Grazon because you can spray it, and then supposedly a few days later, the animal is safe to graze on the pasture. All right. So the problem is that this chemical stays persistent in the manure, and no amount of anybody telling me anything can convince me that this wasn't intentional, when these scientists know exactly what they're doing. So the chemical will stay persistent in the manure. And so the manure, which horse manure, for about all of human history that we've had horses, the relationship with horses, has been a phenomenal source of soil fertility. now has become a source of poison for our gardens if they were fed this type of hay. Even if they don't eat right on the pasture, if it just stays persistent in the actual hay itself. So you have to make sure that the hay the horse has been eating is not been sprayed with the broadleaf herbicides, with the Grazon. All right? Very important. I've had this happen before, and it's devastating. It's devastating because you will plant stuff, you'll amend your soil with real rich horse manure. It looks fantastic. But then you'll notice that your stuff just isn't thriving. Some of the stuff that are sensitive, like tomatoes and peppers and eggplants and cucumbers, they won't grow at all. I mean, they'll just real sickly. Beans can do the same as well. They're very sensitive to it. And you'll be wondering why. What is the problem with it? You'll be checking all this other stuff, and it's the persistent herbicide, and it stays there for a long time. So you have to make sure that you're not getting that. VA Green, yeah, it's all about the money and selling their product. They don't care who eats it. No, that's, of course, this is true. Freebird says, Nate, question, do you think if I cover my tomatoes, it will protect them from the Grazon spray? So you live next to a field where somebody is spraying, that kind of thing? Then I would definitely cover them. Yes, I would definitely cover them. No doubt about that. Amanda Pope says, smash that like. Lots of new people. I love this time of year. I know, it's great, isn't it? Everybody's all waking up, and the enthusiasm and interest in the growing is starting, and things are going to start breaking dormancy. Insects are going to start coming out. Remember how wonderful that is? Insects, so long as there's still some left, before total collapse of the populations, which we're on the verge of all of that. But it doesn't matter right now, so we will just enjoy and do everything that we can to help the insect populations flourish and thrive. And so that includes planting a large variety of flowers up in the mix. So many gardeners I know do not give enough importance to flowers. They think that flowers are just, oh, well, if I have a little space here and there, if I want some color, I'll have flowers. No, it's way more than that, actually. That's a side effect, but the whole reason is what it attracts. The flower is colored like that and with those kind of scent so that it attracts certain creatures that are beneficial to it and all your other plants. So you want to intersperse. Watch my electroculture. Watch the video I made about electroculture results. That's the closest thing to a garden tour I did last year. And you'll see there's flowers everywhere. I mean, everywhere. But it doesn't get in the way of the food production. This little plot produces an unreasonable amount of food when it's done right. But it needs the flowers. And that's what attracts the beneficial wasp, the predatory wasp. That's what attracts just everything. So you want to make sure that you have those. Darren Dies, $10. Thank you, my friend. Says, I really want to try your mom's sprinkler system. I wonder about the water on the fruiting crops like tomatoes and other high yield crops during fruiting. I'm trained that water on the fruits is bad. Well, it depends. It depends. So using city water will be fine, to answer the one person's question. It will be totally fine. But water on, now if you live, where are you at? Where are you at on as far as what state are you in? Because if you're in a really humid place, if you're in the deep south where nothing dries out, that can be detrimental, but if you're here where, especially if it's to the point where you're having to water, then that water is going to just evaporate from the leaves, no problem. And that's not really going to be an issue. So there's different thoughts on that, but it depends so much on Flint, Michigan. No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine because we're in the same zone, basically. I'm in northern Indiana, so you're fine. So long as they're in the sun, and they're getting dried out every day. That's the important thing, so that they're not just going to sit for a long time. And you don't want to leave, nutrient solutions and stuff like that on the leaves, really. That part, you have to feel it out a little bit, but definitely if you guys start making the aerated compost teas, like I'm going to show you how to make this year, then you can spray that stuff directly on the leaves in the evening time. And it doesn't matter at all if you want to leave it on the leaves, because that will help to crowd out the pathogenic bacteria. And that will help to, it just helps everything. I mean, it just helps everything. So most of you are to the point already where you can just use the aerated compost teas that I'll show you this year, and you'll have thriving plants. Healthiest garden you've had probably the healthiest garden in a long time, if you're not accustomed to this kind of thing. So, yeah. Anita Murphy, love my bootstrap farmer trays, going on 4 years, still awesome. Yeah, see, that's what I like as well, because the solo cups, as much as I wanted them to, they don't last multiple years. And they just blow around, they crack, and they look like trash all over the place. And you have to throw away 200 of them, and it just, nah. Whereas you can tell that these are, well, Anita said 4 years, but yeah, I mean, these are going to last a long time. There's no doubt about that. So I am super happy with these. And here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to use, guys. The one more thing. Daryl was talking about the leaves. So if you have any concern about that, we will also use the labs. We will spray the leaves with the labs, and that will really help to eliminate any kind of molds or pathogenic anything. I just wanted to say that. So guys, I don't get super complicated with the seed starting mixes. I mean, I've made my own before, from many years ago when we were on the mountain, we made our own, but there isn't really that much of a difference. And it's on the home scale. If you're market gardening, it's a different story. You don't have the money where it's all a factor of money in versus money out. You know what I mean? Then you want to be making your own, because in the long run, it's much cheaper. But if you are just growing on the home scale and stuff, guys, you can just use this stuff, okay? Just use a good bag of this Fox Farm Happy Frog. Super good, okay? This stuff is great for starting seeds. And it's made in Humboldt County. Yes, where my heart of growing all, came from. And this is going to have a very, very small amount of nutrients in it. Very small amount of nutrients. But it's going to be what you want. See, this is aged forest products, which is basically just composted mulch, and sphagnum peat moss, and perlite, and then earthworm castings, a little bit of bat guano, a little bit of oyster shell, and dolomite lime. That's it. And this is going to be everything that you need. This is a great product. Now, personally, I will mix in some worm castings with it from the local place, which we're going to take you guys and show you a tour of in the next couple weeks. And I will mix in up to 10% worm castings. Okay, so that's going to be everything you need. I'll mix all that up, and then I will put it into these trays, and I won't think about it, because it's going to be wonderful. Now remember, guys, you don't want to be using a bunch of your natural fertilizers and stuff like that for your indoor seedlings. You really don't. The aerated compost teas, or the best is the extract. That's the best thing to use, the compost extract from the video I made. But you don't want to be using don't be using the JLFs or the JMS or any of the JDOM stuff, or any of for the most part, unless you have a totally finished fish fertilizer, like the FAA or something, because that is just going to bring problems. That's the same reason that we don't use a bunch of compost in our indoor seed starting mix. All right. If we're starting in a greenhouse, we can use compost, because we've got the power of the elements. The sun and the carbon dioxide are always in the perfect ratio outside. They're not inside. Also, there's not the attraction of the beneficial insects inside. So therefore, the pathogenic, the pest insects would just proliferate. All right, so we want to use something that's kind of sterile. This is pretty much sterile for the most part. That's what we want to do. Okay. Yeah, Regina RN says, I've used Fox Farm Happy Frog for the past 4 years to start my seeds. Has worked great. Yes. Another one that works really good is Black Gold. That's also another good one. Crazy Farm Girl says, I live in a forest of leaf mold. I put lots in all my potted plants and top dress with broken down mulch. Absolutely, yes, that can be wonderful. Yeah, when I have access again to the land like that, you can guarantee we're not going to buy anything. I mean, we're not going to be buying any of that. We won't have to because we know the techniques. Craig Lepla says, build a soil is way better than that stuff. Absolutely, it is. But you better be growing some high dollar plants if you're using build a soil, because you're going to have a steak dinner worth of money in your tomato plant. You know what I mean? So build a soil is great if you're growing plants that warrant that. But seed starting, we don't need. It's way overkill. So, yeah. And so we'll be talking about all this much more as the aerated compost tea video comes, but there's 2 different levels. So if you're doing like a 5-gallon bucket or even a 10-gallon bucket worth, this is all that you need. And I put it in the Amazon storefront. This is the small one, but I do mine in a 55-gallon drum. And so there's a much bigger, more powerful one that you'll need. And I put that in the Amazon storefront as well. These are a good quality. These VivoSun ones are high quality, commercial grade. This is the real deal. I've been running my other one for a couple years now, and I make it every week, virtually every 10 days in the summertime. And I love that thing. So, let's see, what else? Yes, Jason Hetty says, I was using Pro Mix till it got too expensive. Yeah, Pro Mix can be good. Pro Mix, though, is most of them, I forget if they're, I know that they make one that does have amendments in it, but most of the Pro Mix is just peat moss and perlite, and it's a totally nutrient-free, soilless growing medium. So you will need to use most of that is for like greenhouses, commercial greenhouses that are using chemical fertilizers, Miracle Grow or Grow More, those kind of things. So Sam Potzik, $2. Thank you for the tip, my friend. Appreciate the contribution. Masabi Gal says, I appreciate your fiscal awareness and experience. Oh, definitely, yes. Definitely. Because I've been at all ends of the spectrum. I've been at all ends of the spectrum. When I was in California, there was unlimited money. And in the beginning, there was like unlimited money. And so we had every little thing that we needed, we were using. We were just buying new and buying it. Any little thing that would get us even 1 more gram of yield, we would be doing it, but then once all that collapsed and life totally changed and everything, then I came, and then I had zero money to put in. So I was doing things as cheaply as possible because I had to grow food with no money. And so that's a whole nother thing. But the knowledge was there, so I could do it. I could easily do it. But then now we're on the upswing again. And so now we can get things like these trays and all of that, and we can buy some amendments and stuff like that. It's all kind of like, changing again, But that's also how we know that these don't do anything, guys. And the old schoolers on the channel, don't even get me started. But I just want to say to all you guys, if you're considering doing this type of electroculture this year, don't even waste your time, okay? Don't even waste your time because it's a joke. All right. And I could go on and on and on about why and how and all of that. But I already knew all of that. I mean, for the most part, but I remain totally open. And I tried this experiment last year with so many different ones. And I had them wound all the different ways and all that stuff. And so, I had some of them with stick cores and all this kind of stuff. But I was like, okay, I don't think it's going to do anything because it defies all logic and comprehension and my whole life experience of soil food web. But I'll try it anyways because if it did, it would have just blown my mind. I mean, totally rocked my whole world. But alas, it did absolutely nothing, of course. And so we just made quadruple sure. But what brought this up is that when I was talking about unlimited money in California, in Northern California, with those high value plants, if there was anything that we could have done to get even 1 more gram of yield, we would have done it. And if this worked, you would have saw ones 100 feet high. I mean, you would have seen ones just going into space. I mean, we would have done it so over the top if it would have worked in some way. But nobody was doing anything so absurd as sticking these little things in the ground is doing anything. And even, and this might rub some people the wrong way, but even the type with magnets and stuff like that, even the type that you electrify with a current, if that did anything, I guarantee you every single person would have been using that. Because these were people from all over the world. People from, Bulgarian mafia type, super high up people, okay? That they would have done anything. And nobody used any form of electroculture whatsoever. So don't chase that dragon. Don't chase that dead end, okay, guys? Okay. I get it. Up north of the 49th says, yes, the small antenna don't work, but I'm going to try the very large antenna line run across the garden. Okay, fair enough. My opinion is that will not make any difference whatsoever. Of course not. That's not how energy works. That's not how plants work. The plant is already the most perfect antenna that there can be. So we have to understand that. The plant is already harnessing atmospheric energy. You can't improve on that. And do you know how unbelievably destructive copper mining is? I'm just saying, because we're gardeners and we're stewards of the land. Look up copper mining. Look at some of these copper mines and the practices. I know that we're using copper all over the place, but how could you promote, okay, more copper the better. Make your antennas 15 feet tall and they got to have 700 pounds of copper in it. Yeah, let us all, the guys owning the copper mines are just laughing. So that's that. Looking like the guy from Back to the Future. Yeah, it's the flux capacitor. Up north of 49 says, what do you think of the copper tools for the garden? Now, I know the philosophy as far as what it does energetically to the soil and things. Again, I don't promote this. I don't believe this. That's not conducive to any of my experience. Using copper tools being any more or worse. No, to me, it's focusing in the wrong area. And you will get people selling copper tools or some kind of vested interest in this. And they will be telling you, oh yeah, so you got to use these expensive copper tools because we're putting these ions back into the soil, right? Okay. And then this snake oil over here will magically cure your whatever it is. What'd you say was wrong again? No, this snake oil will cure it. No, it's okay. We use, you can use iron. You can also use wood. You could also use your hands. It doesn't have, when you understand really how the soil works and functions and the soil food web and the nutrient cycling, you know that none of that would make any difference at all. You know that there's billions upon billions of microorganisms in the soil, and that their power, when they have what they need, is far beyond the effect of any kind of localized, digging with a copper tool or something like that. All right. So that is not where I suggest focusing your efforts. Focusing your efforts instead on laying out the garden properly and getting mulch, getting organic matter into the soil, and using cover crops and composting in place. Watch the video I made about how to supercharge the planting hole. All of that kind of stuff is going to give you leaps and bounds more return on investment than using copper anything. It is. So, but now, there is a use for copper. Look, there is a use for copper because microorganisms don't grow on copper. And so that's why our pipelines, our water pipes are made of copper. It does have properties like this. Yes, I'm not denying any of that, but I am saying that it's on a gardener's scale, totally irrelevant, that it's insignificant to use copper. That being said, I love this copper cup. So Freebird says, Nate, what kind of covering should I get to protect the tomatoes? Now you're talking about someone around you is going to directly be spraying glyphosate or something. You're going to need like a plastic sheet. You're going to need so long as the sun isn't out too intensely, you could just put like a roll of plastic over it, because no amount of cloth or anything is going to stop that. Yeah, you're going to have to put plastic over it. Straight up plastic. Masabi Gal says silver is good to use as well. Yeah, well, actually what's better is gold. Gold is better to use. It's pure. The more pure the gold, the better. And let me know exactly where your garden is, because the more pure the gold, and the better. Okay, the better the potatoes you can grow. Okay, and the best of all metal to use is unobtainium. And so if you can get a couple kilos of unobtainium, and let me know, how that does for you. I know you guys. Several people have asked me about this cup. Mom Computer says, Nate, where'd you get that copper cup? I can find one without a handle or lid. I want both. Yeah, I searched for a long time until I went to this place last year with Jenny. Right about now, actually, it might be taking place, called the Viking Fest. And they had a bunch of tents with all kinds of, like merchant stuff in there. And one guy was like making these and had a bunch of them. And I saw this and said, yes. And it was like handmade, or he's making them. And it was not expensive for being handmade. It was like $20. But I love it because I have water in this all the time. This is like my sitting around water. And so it's really nice. Right. Sandy Nesta says, let me know so I can get your gold. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, if people are that misdirected, Yes. Okay, Freebird says, yes, their field, 6 feet from where the garden starts. Yes. So you will need to, it's like chemical warfare, basically. Imagine like in E.T., the movie, when they have to like section off everything with hazmat suits and tunnels and all that. You're going to have to go like that level, actually, to a degree. But you can just like get some of the rolls from like Menards of the greenhouse, or of plastic sheeting, and roll it out, put some boards down on it, and then drape them over the plants. You could even make a little just a quick poly tunnel, pounding rebar into the ground and then stretching 1/2-inch PVC, over it to make some ribs, and then put the plastic sheeting over that, like a temporary hoop house, and then secure the plastic sheeting. That's what you're going to need to do, all right? Cowgirl in Arizona says the copper coils were only half the system. Garden bells were used for frequency to help the plants, much like singing. Okay. I'm going to take that was a joke, please. So I've heard so many things, guys, about this kind of stuff. And even now I get comments on the electroculture video, and people are like, who wants to tell this guy that he had them wound the wrong way and they got to be 14 feet high? Ha ha. You don't know. You're misleading the masses. Ha ha ha. This is ancient knowledge. And okay. Well, let me see your garden. Let me see your plants that you're growing, because I can almost guarantee that you're just hyped up on the little, you think you understand the science, and that I'm trying to mislead the masses and leave, ancient knowledge. No, this is ancient knowledge, guys. The stuff that really works. So, yeah, I know. Jeremy Ransom, that's true. I thought you said E.T. I thought you would be more of a Thor movie reference for that. Definitely. Yeah, the original Thor movie. Yes, that was a great movie. Okay, Cowgirl says it didn't work. Yeah, of course it didn't work. Definitely. But I'm glad that you know now. Ricia Rama says, from Hawaii with love. Sita is the seller. She practices Ayurvedic medicine. Ooh. Let's see. Okay, 94. Okay, so it's pretty much time to go, guys. Up north of 49 says, I have flea beetles so bad due to new mustard crops introduced to the area. I have tried everything to control them naturally. Any suggestions? Guys, flea beetles are difficult, and you need to do trap crops. So plant some mustards, possibly. Also, the Jerusalem artichoke. That is a good, powerful one. That's one of the tough ones. The flea beetles, they are tough to get. So that is you need to report back to me. I mean, a lot of times I just have to let it happen and just plant more stuff and plant flowers up in the mix and all that. Plant alliums, some spring garlic, stuff like that. But yeah, flea beetles, man. But our garden stuff a lot of times has holes in it, and that's acceptable. So, but it's not like totally detrimental. So. Okay, let's see. Moni Verler says, Nate, bokashi questions. Help, please. Thoughts. I don't have a lot of experience with bokashi. I just never saw the point. I just never saw the need, because if you have a compost pile, there's no need for bokashi. I mean, I'm not sure in what situation, okay? You guys let me know, in what situation would bokashi be advantageous to the point where we would need to do that, I don't get, if you have a compost pile, you got everything that you need. So, and I'm talking like a compost bin. Up north says, I can't grow brassicas anymore at all. Ooh, well, if it's just the flea beetles, well, you can still try the JDOM, wetting agent. Try maybe the JDOM sulfur. They might really not like that. So we'll see. Let's see. All right, guys. Well, this is pretty much it. So it's been real. Thank you guys for the donations. Appreciate that. The season is coming. This upcoming week will be a video about seed starting. So watch the seed starting masterclass and watch Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, we will have a live Q&A on the Thrive Like a Viking channel. It's going to be part 2 of how do we bring about the new earth? How do we awaken from the matrix? I have so much to say on this, guys. And so does people in the tribe. So we will be there 10:30 Eastern time. And also, I'm almost finished with the latest Travel Like a Viking video. Took way longer than I anticipated because this next video is going to be, there's more footage of that week than there is of any of my other travels, of any other week in the travels because of what we were doing. So it's going to be really cool. Check it out. You'll learn a lot and stuff like that. So appreciate everything, guys. Let me know if you want the Valhalla onions, the Egyptian walking onions, which will soon be called Valhalla onions only, and they will come out about September. So we pre-order those. Let me know if you want them, and we'll get you on the list. You have to send the $40, either PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, and your address. That's crucial, and your address, and say for the Valhalla onions. Okay. So make sure you give the thumb up to the video, and we will see you guys right here and next time. Uh-oh. Wait. You know what I'm about to do, don't you? You already know, don't you? Got to end on the dance party. Filters. What a joke. Okay. Really old film. Have to look really stoic. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to cut off the film. Let me cut off the film.